Welcome back to Thrive America. I'm your host, Brent Brooks, and joined by J. Mark Walker,
Mr. Alan Yurick, Prince Nair,
joined by business coach, action coach, CEO and co-founder of Axiom Franchise Advisors, and I'm joined by PR expert, Mr. Mark Weisbrod, venture catalyst, Russell Fair, J. Cap, Chris Spears.
We're always looking for ways to build bridges of trust, build bridges of relationship.
Hey, we're here at Blank Stage Theater about to run a Thrive America. Our guest today is author Stone Payton. And in this segment, you're going to learn how to apply the principle of speed, how to apply the principle of innovation, and how to apply the principle of change into the fabric of your company. So stay tuned. Hi, welcome back to Thrive America. I'm your host, Brent Brooks, and joined by very special guest, Stone Payton. Stone, thank you so much for coming on our show.
Oh, thanks for having me. Delighted to be here.
I have known Stone over the years in several different capacities. One is we are both associated with the group Growth Answers, and we had an exciting event happen today, learning about social media.
Yeah, Todd Schnick did that presentation. It was a marvelous job.
It was a great presentation, so we learned a little bit about social media, but we're not here to talk about that as much as we are to talk about your business and kind of what you do. Stone is an author, never fry bacon in the nude, and a speaker and an author. So Stone, we have you on the show here to share your experience and your strength and your hope with me and hopefully with our viewers. So the last question I'm going to ask you in the final segment is going to be, how can you, what can you share with us to do that? So I want you to be thinking about that question and maybe summarize what you're going to tell us. But as we get to that final segment there, I'm going to throw that question at you. But let's talk about speed. I know you help companies with the concept of speed. So why so much emphasis on that principle of speed?
Well, I really believe with all my heart, Brent, that speed is the most consistent and durable source of competitive advantage available to you and I and any other business, large or small, today. And when I say speed, I'm really talking about the capacity to plan and execute fast, innovative change. I believe that organizations that are poised to do that genuinely do have much more competitive advantage than others in the marketplace, because when you think about it, all your other sources of competitive advantage, whether it's intellectual property, capital, talent, even superior product, those sources of competitive advantage really do have such a short shelf life. And it's getting shorter and shorter. But if you can couple those sources with speed, then you really can meet and in many cases dominate your market. And I talk and write about it a lot, and I don't really have the work ethic or the patience or even the IQ points to do a great deal of the work. I partner with specialists in a variety of areas.
When you're talking about speed, you're talking about speeding up, like with your employees, like you gave the example of putting emphasis on speed with the employees.
What we found was that these companies and the people who led them exercised some very distinct disciplines. And in fact, I'll share them with you real quickly if I might. One of the first disciplines we saw was a real emphasis on structure, repeatable processes and transferable tools for key tasks. If you don't provide that for the employee culture, you can often have a great deal of confusion and diffusion and people making sometimes pretty unusual and weird decisions about where they invest their effort, and particularly their discretionary effort. The second discipline that we saw these high velocity leaders express, model, and reward was personal accountability. They were very focused on, absolutely committed to both taking and expecting personal responsibility for corporate results. And once again, as you look at it, as you examine employee culture and look for reasons why they do what they do and why they move slow or fast, what we found in these organizations where it was not only okay, but actually encouraged to acknowledge failure, and you were charged with the responsibility of returning that learning to the organization, we found that things got done a lot faster. And so that was the second discipline we saw. And then the third discipline we saw was empathy. And what I mean by that is the ability and the willingness to project yourself into the mind of the other person or even a group and genuinely understand how they think, feel, and act. And what we found, and several leaders articulated this to us in one way or another, what that does, if you can have the discipline as a leader to do that, it puts you in a position to predict behavior. And when you can predict behavior, it just tremendously increases your capacity to influence thinking and generate the kind of results that you're charged with generating with and through other people. And then the last two disciplines that we saw was education. Rather than treating training, education, knowledge management as some sort of project to be managed, these leaders were absolutely committed to establishing learning as a 24/7, 365 job, critical responsibility. And then the fifth and final discipline we saw was that of direction. That is, they were particularly adept, and I mean organizations large and small, male, female, didn't matter what industry sector we were looking at, they were particularly adept at clearly communicating where the organization was going and why. And when you bring that set of disciplines to the employee culture, then they have a tendency to rally around and give you that discretionary effort that you're after. It puts you in a position to almost leapfrog, but certainly stay ahead of competitors that are often poised to create and try to fill other voids. But the other group that's so important is the customer base. And that's a group of people that are getting increasingly sophisticated and more and more unforgiving.
How exciting it must be for you to come into a company and see so much change in the fabric of these guys, and they're working not only I think with speed, but I'm also picking it with precision. And it sounds like your work can be very rewarding in this area. And I know you bring in experts in different fields to build your team up. So I know when you go into a company, and those of you that are watching, how can you apply these principles in the fabric of your business and so forth. All right, so Stone, stick around. We're gonna bring you right back. I hope you're thinking about that burning question, and I want to see how you answer that. So we'll bring you back in just a minute.